I welcome you all in the fields of pearl millet. Today we are going to discuss certain features of land races and hybrids, and we are going to be with us Dr. Ranjit Ranjan Kumar, a senior scientist from Division of Biochemistry, and he is extensively working on different aspects of pearl millet. So it is important to understand the genomic component and how the genome of these pearl millet transcribed or translated into different forms of molecules which gives different characteristics. So it is our pleasure to welcome you, Dr. Ranjan, here in the fields of pearl millet at IRI.
Thank you.
And now we want to understand the difference between the hybrids, composite varieties, and the land races which we can see here in this field. And then you please explain the difference at their transcriptome level and how to understand different good characters which the breeders will take forward in making different hybrids.
Thank you, ma'am. So here in field, so you can see we have a hybrid here, and then you can also see the land races. So there is a very one mark liner about the land races, that it is basically a hidden treasure for the breeders. The reason is that all the genetic or the wild genes basically are present as such in land races if you compare it with the hybrid. So if breeder has to identify some novel genes, so the way out is that they will fish out the land races, they will try to extract gene from there, and then they can use a respective donor for the breeding program. If we see the nutrition from the nutrition point of view, so land races is far better than that of the hybrids. So whether it is a taste, whether it is the sugar content, whether it is the other macro as well as micronutrients, so it is far better in land races than the hybrids. But there is one problem with the land races, that yield is very less.
Okay.
So it's very less as compared to hybrids.
So from where the one can get the land races? What is the origin of land races? Because hybrids breeders are developing. So can you explain briefly what are land races?
Yeah, basically these land races are specific to a particular region or locality, madam. So each, like if we talk of Rajasthan, so there are specific regions where they have their wild originated species of pearl millet, which they have preserved from last 50 years or even more than that. So those are called as land races, which has not been used in the continuity hybrid program of the pearl millet. So they have a specific character because of which villagers or farmers, they have preserved that in their own origin place.
Can you name one or two name of the land races?
Yeah, like even in my transcriptome, so I'll be putting this. We have Damodar Bajri, Chari Bajri, and recently, ma'am, our Honorable Prime Minister, so he also used one land race's name, that is Jafra Bajri, which has been originated from Gujarat, which is very sweet in taste, and that was quoted by Honorable Prime Minister also.
Okay. So you mean that they have very good character but they lack in yield.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you have, as a biochemist, if you have to study what is there in their component, genomic component, or in the terms of their transcriptome, which makes them superior in that trait, so that breeders will take that trait and develop hybrids.
Yeah, so ma'am, actually if we talk about this land races, so if you see the flow chart, so basically if breeder has to use or breeder has to find out some gene from the land races, so there is a big cycle, or it required number of years to identify a specific donor line which is land races based, and then they will identify specific UTLs, then only it can be used for the breeding program. But now with the advent of technology, so we have a technology through which maybe within a month or two you can identify not one gene or gene specific trait, but you can identify a list of genes which are responsible for a specific trait. And it's not only that you are going to identify, you will have a sequence also, function of those genes also from a specific trait, and then easily it will be easy for the breeder to decide which one they should target for in their own germplasm or population. So that is the advantage of transcriptome.
Okay, so can you little bit expand your research in terms that how you did this transcriptome study with respect to land races?
Exactly.
And what are the outcomes so that those outcomes can be used by the breeder?
So ma'am, actually we under niche area of excellence, so this was one of the committed objective. So we also plan to execute this transcriptome in pearl millet, diverse genotype of pearl millet. So pearl millet is basically an orphan crop. So if we talk in terms of genomics, ma'am, so almost all the important crop has been sequenced. If you see the genome pattern, so has been sequenced. But pearl millet was left over, and only last year ICRI said, so they have taken attempt, and first time they sequenced the genome of pearl millet, but that is with error. So now coming on to transcriptome. So since pearl millet was not considered as the important crop, so people they have not much focused on this. So now with the advent of different this nutri-cereal tag and then celebration of National Year of Millets, so now people they have started working on this. So I would like to share that till date, ma'am, on public domain, we don't have even a single gene for some of the important enzymes which are responsible for rancidity like lipase or polyphenol oxidase or peroxidase. So if you search, you will not get even a single gene. So we started this particular planning with the idea that we'll identify some of the candidate genes which are responsible for this rancidity. So what we did was we selected 4 different genotypes. So there was 2 land races, Chari Bazri and Damodar Bazri.
Okay.
Then there
And
was
these are both from Rajasthan?
yeah, Rajasthan. And then we selected one from IRI, so that is Pusa 1201.
It's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid, man. And then we selected one composite, Pusa Composite 701.
Okay.
So altogether we selected 4 diverse genotype of pearl millet, and then sample was collected during developing stage of this spike. So developing grains, so that we collected using the protocol, and then we isolated high quality RNA, and that was used for the transcriptome.
So do you mean that like this is a very ripe grain?
Yeah.
Or you can see any of the you have selected the you have isolated RNA at different stages.
At different stages and from the developing grains.
Okay, so what is the purpose of taking it from the developing grains?
Yeah, so our idea was, ma'am, since we are working on nutrition and then rancidity aspect, so our idea was that was the stage, grain filling stage, where all these enzymes and respective genes expresses. So we wanted to quantify and identify all those transcripts which are expressing at that particular stage, which is more prone to the synthesis of these enzymes. So that's why we targeted developing this stage.
It's a very good initiative, Dr. Ranjan, and I appreciate the efforts of your team. So you just please elaborate, because in some of your talk I heard the term pearlomics.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by this is the term coined by you, and why you want to treat it as pearlomics?
Yeah, actually, ma'am, I'll start with the term omics. So omics is something like every morning we used to chant Om. So this term has been coined from the Om, means omnipotent, present everywhere in toto. So here actually I add the pearl millet with the omics, means the idea was to coin a word where we are going to identify everything, all genes which are present in my tissue at particular event of time.
Very
So
good.
that was the idea
Very
why
nice
I
idea.
coined pearlomics.
Okay. So now based on your pearlomics, can you briefly tell us that what are the outcomes based on several genes you must have got in your transcriptome study? What are the key genes which you feel contribute towards the rancidity?
Yeah. So I would like to tell, ma'am, that once when we got the data, so we started doing bioinformatic characterization. So the first thing which we did was that this rice genome has very close association with pearl millet. So it's almost more than 92 or 93% homology is there in the genome of rice and pearl millet. So we mapped whatever reads we got. So we mapped this onto the rice genome to find out the respective coding sequences, and we could able to identify total 3 lakh, more than 3 lakhs transcripts. And then when we mapped it and when we filtered, so we got almost 42,000 full length gene linked with different nutrient traits as well as the rancidity related parameters. So out of this, ma'am, if I share like lipase, as I told that we don't have any gene, we identified 54 potential transcripts of lipase. So this is new, these are novel gene.
Okay.
Similarly, polyphenol oxidase, so 12 novel polyphenol oxidase transcripts we identified, and size is from 700 to 1 kb.
Okay.
So now we have a software like ab initio software where using this transcript as a bait, we can predict the full length, and then based on gene specific primer, easily we can clone these genes.
Okay. So what is the advantage of cloning so many genes?
First thing is, madam, transcriptome helps us to enrich the genetic resources, because until unless we know the gene, so it's very difficult to manipulate at protein level. So at gene level, it's very easy to manipulate. So for first thing is, it will help us to enrich the genetic resources. As I told, even not only the rancidity pathway link gene, but from the starch biosynthesis pathway also, in pearl millet we identified 12 noble soluble starch synthase gene, almost 6 noble ADP glucopyrophosphorylase gene, and like this. So almost all the important families or groups which we know. So we could able to identify those transcripts, and now in a very aggressive mode we are cloning those genes, and we got success in lipase also. So 2 lipase already we have amplified and cloned. So the idea is, once we have a gene, and then easily through heterologous system you can purify the recombinant protein, and then you can do enzyme kinetics. You can find out what are the traits through which you can regulate those enzymes, and then it will be easy to stop this whole process of rancidity.
Okay. So in common terms, I can say that various enzymes which are responsible to contribute to rancidity or to different nutritional trait, you are able to get the sequence of those genes through your transcriptomic studies, and now based on those sequence you are now cloning them,
Exactly.
and by using that cloned product you are able to evaluate how the enzyme performs in a particular different type of gene.
Exactly.
That is the
Yeah,
purpose. So now briefly tell us, for a common man to understand, like our Prime Minister mentioned that the Jafrabadi landrace is sweeter, or what do you mean by a sweeter in taste, and what type of enzymes may contribute to this sweet character?
Actually, sweetness is just because of the simple sugar, ma'am. And see, if you take the land races, as I told, so very less work has been done, particularly in land races, from the biochemical point of view, from the molecular point of view. So definitely sweetness is because of the sugar, and now we have to do physiochemical characterization as well as molecular characterization to find out that why in land races simple sugar are present, whereas in other pearl millet it gets converted into starch and then it will accumulate in the grain.
Okay.
So that difference we have to find out, we have to characterize using these tools.
So it means your studies related to transcriptome and biochemical characterization will further help the breeders to take good traits from the land races, and because you told that land races, they are not very good in yield. So if you have good traits you can identify and take them to hybrid, then we have a win-win situation both in terms of nutritional quality, rancidity and yield.
Exactly, and one more advantage, ma'am. So when we are doing transcriptome, so this helps us to find out the SNPs or the SSR markers also.
Okay.
So suppose if I identify a set of genes, differentially expressed gene or maybe normal genes or noble genes, so this will help us to find out the specific SNPs which are present on that respective gene. So now suppose if I have a gene for lipase, and if there is a specific SNPs on that, so I can use this as a molecular marker to evaluate thousands and thousands of populations or germplasm which I have. So easily I can say that that specific lipase which is responsible for rancidity is present in this population number. So I can also use this in a positive way for evaluation, for screening, for differentiating between different germplasms, not only the rancidity but even nutrient related genes also. So easily we can find out the SNPs as well as the SSR markers. So SSR markers are also nowadays very popularly used for this variety development. So this transcriptome will give us the SNPs also, like in our Perlomics. We identified almost 32,000 SSR markers, ma'am. And in case of land races, the number is more as compared to the hybrids. Even the transcripts, so the number of transcripts identified in land races was more as compared to the hybrids.
Okay. So why you feel that the number of transcripts are more in land races as compared to hybrids?
Yeah, so as I told, ma'am, land races, if you take any biological phenomenon, if we take the stress tolerance, So if you see land races, they are more robust as compared to the hybrid or the composite. So this robustness comes because there is a specific gene which expresses and provides the robustness. The same is the nutrition. So there is a specific gene which expresses and then provides the niche for the accumulation or expression of a specific nutrient. So, but in case of hybrid, so maybe that gene is absent or it has been evolved or lost. So that is the difference why we could observe more transcripts in case of land races as compared to the.
That is very interesting. It means whatever the treasure we have in the form of land races, it has several new character which is coded by many more transcripts, which we are now lacking in our some of the hybrids.
Hybrids.
So
Exactly.
that is a very interesting point you are telling. Now tell me one more thing. I heard the term bioprojects. So we know what are projects, but please explain what are bioprojects.
Yeah, actually, when we plan an experiment for transcriptome, ma'am, so when the data is generated, so like when you sequence a gene, so we are submitting in NCBI GenBank. So like this NCBI, they have a specific portal for the transcriptome experiment. So when you execute a transcriptome experiment, so data will be used. It will be 90 GB, 100 GB, more than that. So they have a specific portal called as bioprojects, where all these biological experiment and projects can be uploaded, submitted, and then NCBI will give you a specific accession number. The flow chart is, first you have to submit your data into a sequence read archive of NCBI. So this is called as SRA.
Okay.
SRA database. So once you submit this, then they will tell you to create a biological number. So that you have to create, and then you can easily submit this into the bioproject. And once submission is complete, they will give you accession number, and if somebody has to use that data, they have to give reference or the accession.
Okay. So are you able to submit certain bioprojects?
Yeah, ma'am. So in case of Paul Millet, we have already submitted 8 bioprojects, and characterization is going on, and very soon we are expecting a very good paper from Paul Millet.
Very nice, very interesting. But can you please briefly expand that whatever data you have submitted in the form of bioproject, this is in public domain and many people can use it?
No, actually there is a condition, ma'am. So when you submit your data in bioproject, so they will give you option. So whether you want to make it public after the publication, or maybe give a specific date when you want your data to be publicly available. So you have two options. Either maybe after publication you can make it public, which most of the time people they are doing, or maybe you can give a specific date after 1 year, after 8 months. So after that, automatically it will be open for the public use.
Okay, that is interesting. So by look also you can very well see that if this is the landrace
Yeah, land races.
and this is your hybrid.
Hybrid.
So even by physiologically also you can see a lot of difference.
Yeah.
And as you are mentioning that there is a lot of difference in terms of nutrition, in terms of biotic abiotic stress, in terms of rancidity. So by all means you feel that our natural or wild resources are much better and they are having many more genes to code for it. That's what your transcriptome study
Exactly,
says.
exactly, ma'am. And one more thing, because in case of land races, since farmer they have to preserve this hidden treasure, they are not getting anything out of that. So many a times we are losing most of the important land resources. So as a breeder or as a biochemist or as a scientist, we have a onus that we should give equal importance to our hidden treasure as well as the crop which we are growing, especially hybrid and composites. And every time we are popularizing that, so equally our thrust should be on land races also.
Yeah, that is important. You are doing a wonderful job, and it is important to preserve our heritage like this. And if by your science, by your transcriptome data, if you are able to lay hands on certain markers by which you can take these important traits which these land races are having into your commercial hybrids, then that will be a great contribution in terms of pearl millet.
Yeah, because if a breeder they will get the marker, potential marker, ma'am, so that duration of variety development that will drastically decrease. So maybe within 2 or 3 years they will come out with a good variety, with less rancidity in the powder. So that is the advantage. So the duration of breeding will decrease if we help by sharing the information of potential SSR or SNPs.
So very good information you gave about the genetic resource in the form of land races and how the different studies are important. Any other aspect which you feel from your experiment came out and you want to share with us?
Yeah, when we started this transcriptome, so initially there was a problem in isolating the RNA, so we tried almost for a month. So in pearl millet, I think the normal kit doesn't work. So we have to modify, and we modified our protocol by adding sodium chloride pinch into the triazole, and then we got very good RNA. So that was one modification which we did. Regarding result, so one biggest problem with transcriptome is because advantage is that you can find out the novel gene as well as the conserved or known gene. And it's not only the identification. So once gene is with you, you can characterize the pathway, you can analyze the interactome of gene, you can reconstruct the network. But the problem is, if crop is not popular or not known, or if there is no reference gene sequence, so it's very difficult to predict this nobility. So characterization itself is a problem, and you have to depend on some other crop which is not related to pearl millet. So most of the time, until unless you do the wet lab work with 100% surety, it's difficult to conclude.
I agree.
So that is one
Because of the lack of genome sequences in a particular order, you have to compare everything with rice, and then you have to validate in your lab whether those sequence totally is for those enzymes or not.
Yes.
So it's a very interesting point you told us about the RNA isolation part. And anytime whenever you are starting a new area, you feel little hiccups. So this is interesting story about transcriptomics in pearl millet, and I appreciate your efforts, and I want to congratulate you and your team for doing such a wonderful work. And I am thankful to Niche Area of Excellence project from ICAR, in which you are one of the project member. And I am quite hopeful that in the coming years, after validation and after a complete analysis, you are able to come out with several genes in hand and linked it with some marker, so that breeders will develop many varieties and hybrids based on the genetic resource hidden in these land races. And thank you once again for joining in this area, in this beautiful pearl millet fields. Thank
It's
you.
my pleasure, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me on. It's my pleasure.